Good morning to all of you, and thank you for tuning in to Awakening. This is a ministry of the Antioch Life Enrichment Center at 609 East Chattahoochee Street here in the big city of Fitzgerald, Georgia. You have tuned into one of the most powerful places on the planet, and today you tuned in at the right time in the right place, because today I've been instructed to do and feel led of the Spirit and unction to do is to share with you some deeper prophetic insight and apostolic instruction for 2020, and it's really going to cover 2020 and probably the next 9 years and then the next 10 years after that. So I'm hoping that you are paying close attention. I'm going to try my best not to get hype and start to yell or anything else like that, because I really have a lot of information to give you, a lot of insight to share with you. And so I want to make sure that you're able to get all of it. I want to make sure that you're able to get it all. If you haven't done so already, grab some pencil and paper. Get something to be able to take notes with. If it's not pencil and paper, or your iPad, your laptop, your phone, whatever it is that you use to keep notes in. But you're going to want to take notes this morning. You're going to want to take notes this morning. You're going to want to make sure that you have something that you're able to record the notes that you're going to need. Also, I'm going to open up the chat room, or not chat room, but the comments rather, for questions. If you have any questions about anything that I'm saying or I'm teaching this morning, I want you to go ahead and ask your questions so that I can address them. And I'm going to try and make sure that I pay attention to the comments as they come through, so that I'm able to answer any of the questions that you may have. Again, we have a long way to go and a very brief amount of time to do so. I'm going to try and stay within the constraints of 1 hour, but if I go over a little bit, please don't be upset with me. And if you have to go, I understand that, but then you can always come back and watch it on the replay. Tag and share, please do it right now. I say that almost every week, and then there are some of you that do it, and then there are others of you that just, sit there and won't tag anybody. But I'm telling you that it's imperative for you this morning that you tag and share as many of your family and friends as you possibly can. Don't be selfish. Don't be greedy. You want everyone to be able to hear and partake in what it is that I'm getting ready to release to you this morning. So I want you to go ahead and tag and share, invite as many people into the room as you possibly can, so that they can be privy to the information that I'm getting ready to share with you. Now, I'm not trying to preface this, or trying to outline this as though I am the only person that God is speaking to, because of course that's ridiculous. God speaks to all of us. Any of us who will align ourselves and tune ourselves to the mouth of God, the mind of God, to receive what the Lord is saying. But I'm saying to you that this message, I know, is something that God wants me to release to those of you who listen and in whose lives I have some modicum of influence. So this is for you. If you are tuned into this broadcast, if you are tuned in this morning to this live, it is not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's not a mistake. You are here by divine appointment and purpose, and there is some substantive answers that are about to be released to you this morning. There's some substantive answers that are about to be released to you this morning. A few weeks ago, in my meditation time, in my prayer time, I heard this word, and it's a common word, and I didn't really pay much attention to it. I just kept hearing it repeated over and over and over again. And I was just like, okay, I don't know where that's coming from or why that's coming up, but I'm not really that concerned about it. I'm just going to leave it until just a couple of days ago, I think maybe probably 3 or 4, 5, 6 days ago, I happened to be scrolling through Facebook, and one of the persons that I follow on Facebook is a guy named Larry Reed. Larry does the Larry Reed Live show. Some of you probably follow him as well. And then I just happened to click on while he was talking, and I heard him use the exact same word. And it triggered my mind and memory. And I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. It was confirmation to what the word that I had been hearing over and over again. And I heard him use the same word. And I heard him say that he had sensed in his spirit that he had heard the Lord speaking this word to him. And so he was sharing with those who were following him. And so now I said, okay, I need to sit down and meditate on this word. And then I need to see what comes from there. And as I sat in my meditation time and began to meditate and pray on this particular word, then it's like a river opened up and all this information started to just emerge from within me. Prophetic insight, apostolic instruction. And I knew then that this was a message that I needed to release and to confer upon you this morning. So the word is launch. Let me say it again. The word is launch. Write that word down. Write it down. It's a very common word, not complex. Launch. The word launch means to throw forward, to hurl, to thrust forward, to release, to catapult, to send off, to put into operation, to set in motion, to initiate, to introduce, i.e. to launch a new business or launch a new idea, a new program. It is to spring forward, to take off like a rocket takes off into space. It's to begin, to initiate, to innovate, to institute, to pioneer, to conceive, to originate, to produce, to construct, to develop, to enlarge, to commence, to embark, to spark, or to inaugurate. Listen to all of those different words that are synonyms for the word launch. I want you to think about that word for a moment. Launch. This is an important word, and this is the word that is the umbrella or the overriding principle for your entire 2021 and the next 9 years. The word launch. I see you writing it in the comments. That's right. Launch, 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 hurl, thrust forward, move forward, release, catapult, send off, to set in motion, to initiate, to instigate, to begin to originate, produce, construct, develop, enlarge, commence, embark, to spark, to be the ignition from, or to ignite. I feel myself getting excited. I'm going to calm down. I want you to write that word down and as many of the synonyms or definitions for the word. I want you to write it down because it needs to be the word that's playing over and over and over again in your head, in your consciousness, in your soul, and resonating with your spirit. Because this is the period, this is the period where you need to begin to launch. As I've told you before, 2020 was an overlapping year. It was a year of overlap. It was the end of one decade, the beginning of another decade. It was the end of an era and the beginning of another era, the end of an age and the beginning of a new age. It was the end of the Piscean age and the beginning of the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius, it involves innovation, information, technology, instruction, growth, development, exponential acceleration. This is what the age of Aquarius is. And I don't have time to really spend a whole lot of time explaining ages again, because if you've been listening on a regular basis, then you understand what that means. But you know that Christ himself used this terminology several times throughout his teachings as recorded in the four gospels, when he talked about of the beginning and end of an age. Well, that the earth is on a time clock, a pattern of rotation, a pattern or cycle of ages that carry us from age to age as the planet begins to evolve and revolve around the sun, and all of the planetary bodies begin to move into certain alignments. Like just now, we just experienced a few days ago what is called a new moon, where the earth and the sun and the moon are perfectly aligned with each other. That has passed, but now we are in the beginning of what is called a crescent moon. And so those things have a distinct effect on the earth realm. And yes, if they affect the earth, then they also affect you. The law of oneness, because we are interconnected with all things, because all things emanate from God. And so therefore, everything leads back to God, and everything is tied with God, and therefore tied to us. And even our three-dimensional human form is made up of the earthly elements. And all of these earthly elements, as earth, wind, fire, and water, are all affected by these shifts, these planetary shifts that are taking place in the earth realm. Well, likewise, when the universe goes through an evolutionary process, as it has done throughout 2020, coming over into 2021, and I've told you several times before that humanity was in the midst of and coming out through an evolutionary leap forward, that things have shifted dramatically and drastically, that the paradigm, the mode of operation, what has been normal or has been common, but it has now changed because of this new age, a new order that we have stepped into. And those of you, again, who are familiar with me, been following me for a period, then you know that one of the patterns that we've discussed from reading biblical text that is noticed from the book of Genesis all the way through until you get to the revelation that's given in at the end of the biblical text is the pattern of creation and shifting. Okay, so that where there is chaos and anarchy and darkness, followed by this movement and shifting and reassigning, removing, strategically replacing and restructuring the chessboard of life, then putting in place a new order, and then there is a fresh awakening and light. And 2020, while it was difficult and challenging, and while it was filled with a lot of traumatic and painful experiences, from a pandemic to a social unresting, racial division, political uprising, and a person who wanted to become a dictator, as well as all of us having to deal with the dramatic changes that were brought on by the pandemic, causing us to have to change our behavior, our mindset, and the way that we have done things. While it was challenging, it was also necessary and purposeful, because it provided us great opportunities for growth and development, and for us to begin to become consciously aware of gifts, talents, abilities, and capacity that we didn't recognize that we had before. You don't often recognize the limitless potential that's within you until circumstances, situations, and experiences come along to place a demand on what's inside of you. Then, and when the demand is placed, then it arises and emerges from you. This is paraphrased or given in a metaphorical sense in the Old Testament, when he says that when the spirit of the enemy shall rise up against thee, then the spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against it. And it's not talking about some outside external entity that's coming against you. It's talking about adversities adversarial situations, circumstances, and relationships that place a demand on you, and that principle of demand, the opposite side of it is supply. Supply and demand. That when the demand is made, then the supply rises up to meet the demand. The Spirit of God arises and emerges within you to meet whatever the demand is. And you have seen, if you have been paying attention and examining your life and not caught up in emotions where you like, woe is me and how bad things are, and I'm tired of staying in the house and I can't wait to get back outside or to go here or to do this or to congregate with my friends. If you have been paying attention, you have seen that your skill set has changed, to shift and increase and sharpened in many areas, that your understanding of yourself has increased and your intuition has intensified as a result of this lap year where you have had to deal with the changing of the ages, the end of the Piscean into the age of Aquarius. Now we are to begin the beginning of the first year of the decade, that is 2021, and these next 9 years, listen to what I'm saying to you, these next 9 years are going to be pivotal in your growth. It is going to be pivotal in your development, your evolution, and it is pivotal to what the rest of your future is going to look like. Now, I know I'm going to be dealing with some large numbers as far as in terms of years, but I need for you to understand what I'm saying to you, that time is something that is only used for us to be able to mark our matriculation through this three-dimensional existence. It is an illusion, but it is necessary for us to be able to mark or to understand our movement in this three-dimensional world. God is not bound by time. God encompasses time, but God also moves through time. And one of the ways that God moves through time is by its voice. Its voice. By giving us prophetic insight and apostolic instruction so that we are more able to accurately discern the rhythm of the earth, or the times and the seasons, the rhythm of this universe, the rhythm of this three-dimensional existence, the rhythm of this planet, the times and the seasons. Some refer to it biblically as the spirit of Issachar, that is the gifting to be able to accurately discern the times and the seasons. And I just did a teaching recently about the law of rhythm and about you examining your own life rhythm. But I want you to not just pay attention to your life rhythm, but to the rhythm of the earth and the rhythm of the universe that you are a part of and that you are matriculating through, so that you're able to understand and accurately discern the times. These next 9 years are pivotal. They are pivotal. Okay, 2020 was the overlap year that began a new age. The 2020 is marked by the fact, number one, that it uses the double twos, which are the numbers of covenant. This is the sign of a covenant. And you will find that in various places where Christ began to speak in covenant language, he always preceded it by saying, verily, verily. In other words, two times he would repeat that word. In other words, he was reinforcing or indicating that this, what I'm about to say to you, is a covenant thing. Well, 2022 is the number of covenant. is marking to us that this is about the unfolding of and the renewing of the covenant that God has made with mankind. Listen to what I'm saying. This is about the covenant that God has made with mankind. 2020 is such an important and pivotal time, a decade that we're entering in, that it marks the entirety of the decade. Let me say it again. 2020 is such a pivotal time period because it even marks the entire decade. You will be writing and repeating and speaking the covenant words, that covenant phrase throughout these next 9 years, because during the course of these 9 years, whenever you write or you speak, you will have to use the term 2020. 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and so on and so on and so forth. It is a reinforcing and it is a renewal, a refreshing, a revealing, an uncovering, an unveiling of the covenant that God has with humanity. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? And so this is the beginning of an age that will set the stage for the next 9 years. And watch this, understand this as well, that these 9 years will be determinant for the next 10 years that will follow. In other words, when we reach the end of 2029 and enter into 2030, then there is another dramatic shifting that's going to take place, and I'll get into that a little bit later in the teaching, but there's another dramatic shifting that's going to take place, and what you do in these next 9 years will be the determining factor of how you enter into that next shift, and whether you are progressing, whether you are stagnant, or whether you are digressing, whether you have progressed, whether you are stagnant, or whether you have digressed. It is about the decisions, the choices that you are going to make over these next 9 years. And so my task this morning, my assignment with you this morning, is to give you some prophetic insight, but then also apostolic instruction that can help you and guide you in making the most productive, progressive choices that you can make in these next 9 years. I am not trying to tell you what to do. I'm trying to tell you how to think. Let me say it again. I'm not telling you what to think or what to do. I'm telling you how to think so that you can have the proper mindset in place to process and then make the best choices for you as an individual. This is not a blanket statement about every individual do this specifically, but I'm giving you specific guidelines that you can use as you formulate your choices over the next 9 years. I want to make sure you understand that this is not about manipulation or control. This is not about me trying to lasso you in or anything like that. This is about giving you specific guidelines through apostolic instruction that is based upon prophetic insight so that you can begin to form and shape your choices individually to what is most productive and progressive for your life. I hope you're understanding and you're listening to what I'm saying to you. Let's try and get into this and go a little bit further. The first thing that I'm going to say to you, and I'll probably repeat it several times, is that you're going to need to learn how to multitask. Let me say it again. You're going to need to learn how to multitask. Most of you probably have and that ability already. Some of you are a little frayed around the edges and you feel like, no, I need to focus on one thing at a time. I'm telling you, you don't have that luxury. If you want to progress and you want to develop and evolve through these next 9 years, you're going to have to learn how to multitask, how to be focused on several different things at the same time, to be able to balance several plates in the air and keep them all spinning. You're going to have to learn how to have different things going on in the various aspects and areas of your life and not to become lax, because one of the marcations or significations for this next 9 years is movement. Oh God, write that one down as well. This next 9 years is marked or signified by movement, rapid movement, accelerated movement, exponential movement. Movement is going to mark, is the signification for these next 9 years. So you're going to have to learn how to multitask. You're going to have to learn how to balance more, have a balanced life and be able to balance multiple things in your life at the same time for you to maximize your development, your evolution, your growth, for you to maximize the opportunities that are about to present themselves to you over the course of these next 9 years. Are you understanding what I'm saying? If you understand, put in the comments, I understand. You're going to need to learn how to multitask. What I need for you to understand is that you are loaded. You came into this three-dimensional existence loaded and coded within your DNA is limitless possibilities, potential, and you have a capacity, an infinite capacity for greatness inside of you. And it's time for you to begin to harness it, to activate it, and begin to step out into it so that it can begin to serve you. Don't take all that's in you, all this gifting, ability, and potential to the grave. Do not take all of this to the grave. One thing that happened just on yesterday is a very dear friend of mine. Most of you, well, some of you that are a part of this broadcast, you know her because she came to Antioch back and forth several times, and we went down to minister for her. Prophetess Geraldine Edie was a very dear friend of mine, decades-long relationship, someone that I love very much, has transitioned out of this earth. But one of the things, as I was reflecting over her life and our friendship and the times that I've known her, one of the things that I can say about her is that she's always been a hustler, always been a person that was active and working, and that when she transitioned out of here, she left here empty. She had poured out herself like a drink offering and done so many things to have an impact and an effect on this world, probably an impact that's way beyond what she was consciously aware of that she had made in the light, the deposits that she has made. And I'm saying that to say to you that you have to have the same mindset. You cannot, in these next 9 years, and really for the rest of your life, you cannot be a couch potato sitting on the couch watching TV, twiddling your thumbs, playing video games, or doing meaningless things, holding and hosting meaningless relationships, but that you need to do everything with intention and purpose. You can't afford to be emotional. You can be guided by your feelings, but you cannot be emotional, reactive, responsive. You've got to be ready to act so that you can get the most out of what's inside of you. Do not leave this earth empty. Don't leave here, full. Leave this earth empty. make sure you leave here empty. All right. Remember, you're going to have to learn how to multitask. First instruction. Here's the thing that I want you to begin to learn. You're going to need to start learning as much as you can about investments and the stock market and investing in the stock market. If you're in a position to hire a broker or a financial planner, you need to do it. I'm going to say it again. You need to learn as much as you can. And in the information age and the age of Google, you have everything at your fingertips. So you need to go ahead and get in there and start learning as much as you can about investing, whether it is investing in stocks and bonds and money markets or in real estate. And I'm going to talk about real estate a little bit more because there's something specific I want to tell you about that a little bit later. But municipal bonds, options, commodities, you need to learn as much as you can about investing. Now, listen, understand me that the way that things have evolved in this time period that we are living in now, there was a time where only the wealthy were really in a position to do investing. But now investments have been made easy, even if you don't have a whole lot of money. If you don't have a whole lot, and there's some of you that do, some of you that don't, well, I'm going to tell you that this is one of the ways that you are going to increase your income, your streams of income coming into your life. You need to learn about investments. You need to learn about investments. Those of you who listened to me at the end of 2019, I told you that you needed to be prepared to invest in 2020 because there was going to be a crash in the market, and what seemed like a terrible thing for the entirety of the world would actually be an opportunity for those who are wise and strategic investors. If you listened to me then you would have invested while the market crashed and all of the stocks were at a premium low price and interest rates were at almost zero. Exactly what I said to you has came to pass in 2020. And if you took advantage of that, then you went in and you bought and into the market, and you were able to buy in low, and you've seen your stocks steadily rise. Now, listen, this is not for the squeamish. I want you to understand that you got to be willing to make the investments and do it long term, because I told you at the end of 2020 and the beginning of this year that the economy is going to begin to crawl its way back very slowly, and throughout the rest of this year you will see a steady rise, slow rising, building economy. It is building up to 2022 where it's going to just take off and begin to soar. Listen to what I'm telling you, that the economy is going to soar. Now you're saying, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, you go around you're quoting a tale that have been misinterpreted about the wealth of the wicked being laid up for the just, because you think that it is talking about a us and them thing, and that somehow God's going to magically abracadabra cause money to just appear in your account. No, ladies and gentlemen, this is a principle. There is another principle that's outlined in the New Testament when Christ begins to give this story or parable about the talents, and he talks about investments. He is talking to the disciples, to the followers, to those that are spiritually enlightened about investment. And so you know the story about how one gets 5 talents, 3 talents, and then 5 talents, 2 talents, then 1 talent. And what happens when the master returns and he's like, well, what have you done with what I gave you? The question today is, what are you going to do with the resources that God has already given you? And because of technological changes in this age, you don't need $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 to make investments. You can use vehicles like Robinhood and TD Ameritrade and Charles Schwab and other apps that are out there that will allow you to buy stock for as little as $5, $10, $20. You can buy little pieces of stocks, and that's what stock is. You own a little piece of the company. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where you're going to see the real wealth transfer. It's going to be by making wise investments that you're going to see the real wealth transfer when you begin to wrap your mind around how money or this economy works, how money is circulated, and the purpose of money, the science of money, so that it can begin to work for you instead of you just working for it. So one of the things that the first instruction is that you need to learn as much as you can about the stock market and start investing. If you can afford to hire a broker, then hire a broker and give them whatever money you set aside for investment, because I know there's some of you that have larger sums of money and a better financial base than others. This is the time for you to begin to invest, but to do so wisely. I am not here to give you stock tips. I am here to give you apostolic instruction that this is what you want to do over the course of these 9 years. Have a 9-year plan for your investments that you are going to make. Have a 9-year plan for your investments that you're going to make. Stock market, in the stocks and the bonds and commodities and options and money market certificates and other things of this sort. What level of risk you want to take depends on what you can stomach. So you decide that for yourself, but make investments. And Lord, everybody in here ought to have an IRA account, at least that. But I'm telling you, if you're going to see, if you make the investments, you're going to see your investments, your money begin to grow exponentially over these next 9 years, especially beginning with 2022. This is the time for you to get in. You're not going to get in as low as you would have in 2020, but if you get in now, you will see them skyrocket and begin to explode in 2022, and invest, then reinvest. Don't get excited by the dividends that you see. And I'm speaking to some of you that I know that can afford to make larger investments. Don't get excited about the dividends and the returns that you're going to see. When they come in, reinvest. We don't go snatching it out. That's not the time. I'm telling you, invest with a mind toward the next 9 years. Finally, real estate. Real estate market is about to boom. Listen to what I'm telling you. The real estate market is about to boom. I am not, let me say this for the good or for my own legal purposes, I am not giving stock advice. I am not a stockbroker. I am not a real estate agent. I am giving prophetic and apostolic prophetic insight and apostolic instruction. Okay, so I don't need nobody trying to turn around and sue me, and I certainly don't need the SEC coming after me, ladies and gentlemen, but I do need to tell you what I've seen, and you get to choose whether you want to accept this guidance or not. That the real estate market is about to boom. New construction is going to increase exponentially. New construction That's new housings, new buildings, new skyscrapers. It's going to begin to boom. It's going to increase exponentially, almost double. The number of new constructions is going to almost double over these next 9 years. So real estate is a market that you want to invest in. Innovation is going to soar, especially in areas of clean energy like electric, wind, and solar. Listen to what I'm saying, that if you want to invest in companies that are involved with clean energy, this is the time for you to do it. I'm not going to name any companies, but you can do the research yourself that involve themselves in electric and wind and solar. Jump on the bandwagon, because those are the things that are going to begin to increase exponentially along with the real estate market. There's going to be an urban spread. Listen very carefully. I heard this. There's going to be an urban spread that is going to cause the value of undeveloped land to increase. So if you have any undeveloped land like this ministry does, hold on to it as much as you can. Don't sell it. Hold on, because over these next 9 years, you're going to see the value of it increase exponentially. If you don't, then buy some, invest in some. Whether you want to invest in buying houses wholesale, if you can afford to do that, or purchasing rental properties or undeveloped land, real estate is a good investment for you at this time. And you will see that the value of it will increase exponentially. When I talk about urban spread, I'm talking about that you, because of the increase in innovation and technology, they're going to need more space in order to begin to build the infrastructure necessary to support the innovation. And with new infrastructure comes new housing and more people coming into areas that were less populated are going to see an increase in their population because of the urban spread that is about to take place over these next 9 years. Now, I know you want to hear someone tell you about to get a check coming in the mail. No, I'm trying to tell you, I'm giving you prophetic insight about money right now. Get the right relationship and mindset about money. You understand that money is called currency because it creates a current. Let me say it again. Money is called currency because it creates a current. Money is not a source. Money is a resource. The Spirit of God within you is the source of your supply. Money is the resource. It's a tool, and you got to have the right mindset and the right understanding and relationship with money. If you're going to see money begin to work for you, it was never intended for you to work for it. You are supposed to be the lender and not the borrower, the head and not the tail, above only and not beneath, not laboring for it, but having it to work for you. But you have to understand the science of money and have right relationship with money so that it can begin to work for you. Are you understanding? And get yourself out of debt. Get yourself out of debt, because you already know this principle. You know this principle that the borrower becomes the servant to the lender. You want to be on the lending end and not the borrowing end. So you want to get yourself out of the kind of debt that entraps you, that enslaves you, and that keeps you limited and bound. You want to get out of debt and start to have the right relationship with money. Stop being so cheap and stingy. Oh my goodness. I know this is not the kind of preaching that you want to hear, but I'm trying to help you this morning Stop being so cheap and stingy. Money is currency, creating a current, creating a cyclical, a cycle or cyclical response in your life. That as you are generous, and it is in your nature to be generous, because the very essence of love is generosity, and God is love, meaning you are love. So that you have within you, loaded and coded within your DNA, the innate generosity that is overwhelming, but you may have suppressed it for whatever reasons. I'm telling you that way to unlock your financial increase and prosperity and wealth in your life in this time is for you to release that generosity, that natural generosity that's in you, where your money is concerned, where your time is concerned, where your talent is concerned, to release it freely and begin to give. Freely you give, freely you receive. The laws of sowing and reaping. I'll talk about that a little bit more a little bit later if I have time. But I'm telling you that this is the time. Don't be squeamish about it. Go ahead and invest, invest, and invest. Invest. I got to keep going because I got a lot of information. Okay, here's another apostolic instruction. You need to begin to start a regiment of reading, a reading regiment. You need to begin a reading regimen. If you're not an avid reader already, you need to begin to be. You need to begin to be a avid reader. Start and set up a reading regimen. Commit to reading at least one book a week. Commit to reading at least one book a week. One of the markations of the age of Aquarius is that the age of Aquarius is an information age, a technological age. Information is key, and you have all of this information at your fingertips, where you don't even have to go to a library now. You can download PDFs or download to your Kindle, or you can order from Amazon and have the books brought to your house, or you can tune into YouTube or tune into this, that, or the other channel, and you can get information. You want to load yourself with as much information as you possibly can. Stop being so stymied and be well-rounded. Listen to me. That means that you want to be able to speak and at least carry on an intelligent conversation in a multiple areas of conversation. You want to be able to speak intelligently. Don't narrow your view and your understanding and your only one specific area. You may have an area or areas that you specialize in, that's fine. But you want to also broaden your horizon, your perspective, your scope, so that you're able to speak intelligently on all different, in multiple areas, because as you broaden your scope of knowledge, you begin to give attention to various things and intention to them as well. And then when those opportunities begin, you increase the number of opportunities that are presented to you by your base knowledge. Opportunities aren't presented to you if you don't have the knowledge to actually take advantage of them. Let me say it again. Opportunities that are going to serve you are not going to be presented to you if you don't have at least a fundamental knowledge base in order to be able to take advantage of them. So as you establish a reading regimen, you will exponentially increase your knowledge, expand your consciousness, expand your understanding of things, and that will automatically increase the number of opportunities that will be presented to you. listen to what I'm saying to you. You want to begin a reading regimen. You need to listen. Yes, Russell, please embrace reading. If you enjoy reading, our youth need to embrace it as well. So start a reading regimen, not only for you, but for your children that are with you in your household. Information. Turn off SpongeBob and turn off the Real Housewives and turn off all these other things and start looking at something that can give you information. Watch the news, watch National Geographic, watch the History Channel. Get into some things that are going to actually feed you with knowledge that you can use. I'm not telling you that you have to abandon watching movies and entertainment altogether. I'm not telling you that you got to abandon your favorite sports team, but I'm telling you that you need to have a balance of a good daily balance of information coming through to you. And you need to end your day every day asking yourself, what did I learn today? If you didn't learn anything, you have wasted a day. I'm going to say it again. If you have not learned anything, you have wasted a day. Don't let a day end without you garnering some new, fresh information that you didn't know before and increasing your knowledge base. Begin a reading regimen. This is the information age where knowledge is key. I'm going to say it again. This is the information age where knowledge is key. Greg, it's already 10:55. I'm going to go way over. If you have to leave, I understand it. Do what you need to do, but I need to make sure that I give you all of this information this morning. I'm going to move forward. Information is key. Did I mention that you're going to need to learn how to multitask? Because I haven't even given you all of the things, all the information, or all of the instruction that you're going to need. So you're going to need to multitask. Let me move on. I want you to start journaling. If you haven't already been, I want you to begin to journal, to take note of your dreams, your imaginations, your visions, those flashes of insight, revelation, or thought, or ideas that come into your head. Don't take anything for granted that comes to mind, that emerges from your spirit during this time period. There is a fresh, new, intense, rising energy that is in the earth realm right now that will trigger and is triggering your intuitive, innovative, inventive mind. And so new ideas and concepts are emerging from within you. Yeah, Lord have mercy. Y'all know I don't try not to do that on camera, but I'm telling you, I feel the presence of God right now. I'm telling you, new ideas, innovations, inventions, creative ideas are emerging within you right now, and you don't need to lose any of them. Start journaling and writing down everything that arises in your visions, your dreams, your imagination, ideas, or a concept. And even if you have already been journaling, listen to this instruction very clearly. I want you to go back through all of your journals and begin to examine them for things that you may have overlooked, that you may have forgotten, that you may have set aside, that you may have not really paid attention to, because this is the period for you to launch. Remember that word, to launch, to innovate, to set in motion, to inaugurate, to embark, to begin to break forward with. This is the time for you to launch them. And I know some of you, especially like one of my sons on here, Brother Frank has multiple ideas flowing through his mind all the time. And it's like, man, that's a whole lot of things, but you gotta now tap into it and begin to launch them. I don't care how many of them it is. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you seem like you're going to become the jack of all trades and the master of none. That's not the case at all. But you got to launch. You got to at least set in motion, begin to build the structure and the strategy and the foundation to launch. You need multiple streams of income, and those ideas that have been coming up and emerging out of your spirit are designed to create those multiple streams of income for you. But you have got to launch. You have got to begin to set it in motion. You've got to strategically leap forward. You've got to take these leaps of faith to begin to do it. If you build it, they will come. That I know that comes from Field of Dreams, but that is a powerful principle right now. If you build it, they will come. If you launch it, it will soar, it will expand, it will grow, it will succeed, but you have got to do it strategically. That means don't just throw something together. Take the time to do the necessary research, to lay out the proper planning, get the proper connections and help that you need. If you need a marketing person, you need a graphic designer, a web designer, you need someone who can give you better insight and instruction about a specific area, then do what's necessary, but make sure you launch it. Don't sit on your hands. Don't keep saying one day. Don't keep talking about what's going to happen. Well, after a while, by and by. Don't you dare come to the end of these 9 years talking about, I wish I had, I should have, I could have. I want you to take advantage of this. Listen to what I'm prophetically giving you insight to and apostolically instructing you. This is the time for you to launch. This is the time for you to launch. This is the time for you to launch. Take off, explode, explore, embark. This is the time. I'm telling you, this massive increase, this exponential growth and wealth and prosperity in every facet of your life, prospering in your money, prospering in your home, prospering in your mind, prospering in your peace, prospering with your family. This is not abracadabra, hocus pocus. This is not rubbing oil on your head and rolling on the floor. This is about listening to the prophetic insight and taking this apostolic instruction and strategically applying it to your life and following through and being consistent, so that you can begin to see the kind of results that you desire and create the kind of world that you want to live in. Start journaling. And if you already have a journal, go back through your journals and begin to examine it for and locate all of those ideas, concepts, innovations, inventions, dreams, visions that you've had and that you may have set aside or ignored or forgotten about. Now is the time to get on board and launch them. And if you know anything about making a vision board or a vision wall in your house, then do it. Begin to set it up and so that you can see it every morning when you wake up and every night before you go to bed to remind you of what it is that you're working on. Did I mention that you're going to have to learn how to multitask? You're going to have to learn to multitask. Get your vision board up and launch into it. There should be several ships launching from your decks all throughout the course of this 9 years. Listen to what I'm telling you. Listen to the words of your apostle. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you, people. There should be several ships that take off. And when you know what, when I mention ships, the rocket ships, rockets, when they take off, they go through a process that is informative and instructive for us. They have the ignition, they have the takeoff, and then they have booster rockets, and then they break through out of this atmosphere into outer space before they began their orbit. They have the ignition, that entrance, or the ignition is the entrance of the concept, the idea, the vision, the innovation. The entrance is that thing that keeps coming back, nagging at your brain. It was the idea that you pushed to the side. It was the concept, the innovation, the invention that you have laid on the shelf. That is your ignition switch. And then there comes the takeoff, which is the initial start or the launch. If you're coming off the launch pad rather. You're coming off the launch pad. It's the initial takeoff, and you need the intuitiveness, the motivation, the energy to launch. And you also need the relationships and the connections to launch. You need to connect with those who can help you to get your idea off the ground. Look, be strategic and intentional about your relationships. You don't have time to have wasted, meaningless relationships. You need to have intentional, strategic relationships, those that will help you to begin to launch. After the ignition and the takeoff, then you have boosters, and they are not the same thing. You know, they have these booster rockets that are attached to the main rocket, and as it gets to a certain height in the air, then the booster rocket begins to fire to give it that extra push that will make it go through, break through the atmosphere into the outer space. There are people that will come into your life who are designed to be your boosters, and you are designed to be someone else's booster rocket. Those relationships, those connections, those encounters are designed for them to help you, for you to help them, for there to be an exchange, a covenant exchange. Exchange is the basis of covenant, an exchange that enables you, that empowers you to break through the atmosphere, to break through whatever has been the hindrance that has kept you from going to these heights before, to give you that extra push to get to your next dimension, your next existence, your next iteration of life. Those are booster rockets. And understand that there are some relationships and some places and some things. Listen to what I just said. There are some relationships, some places, and some things that are not designed to be a part of your life and make the entirety of the journey with you. They are just designed to be your boosters. But you notice that after the boost is given, then those booster rockets fall off, leaving the singular rocket to follow its particular path or trajectory that it has been set on. And I'm telling you that there are some things, some places, and some people that are designed to be your booster, and you are designed to be someone else's booster. So don't become so married to the relationships as they exist today that you are unable to go through the transitional change that is necessary so that those rockets can fall off and you can go on the trajectory that has been set for your life, because your path is your path. Let me say that again. Your path is your path. Let me say it again, because I need for you in the back to hear me. Your path is your path. Yours alone. You have to walk your own path. Even if you're married, you still got to walk your path. All that marriage means is that your paths have been tied and merged together, but you still each have your own individual path that you have to walk, your journey that you have to take. A wife can't do it for a husband can't do it for his wife. A friend can't do it for another friend. You have to do it for yourself. It is your path. Those others that come along are boosters to help you break through the atmosphere, break through to the next dimension, but don't become all upset when they have to now detach themselves and go on about their path. Or you have to detach yourself so that you can go on about your path, following your journey. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Because after the booster comes the breakthrough. After the booster comes the breakthrough. After the booster comes the breakthrough. It's when you break through whatever has been the hindrance to keep you from getting to your next dimension, your next level, your next place, the next stage or the next phase or the next iteration of your life. After the booster comes the breakthrough. And when you pierce through, you now enter into the space where you can begin to orbit, where you begin to now have a new home, a new existence that is, listen to this, watch this. You enter into a space that is weightless. Ooh. Did you catch what I just said? That you enter into a space that is weightless. You enter into a space where you have laid aside every weight and every error that does so easily beset you, and you have entered into a space that is weightless. I got to keep going because I'm really over time and I got to keep going. Okay? So understand the meaning and the purpose behind these strategic and intentional lessons. Learn how to detach without detesting. Detach, but don't detest. Just because a relationship ends or it changes doesn't mean that I love this person any less, they love me any less. Doesn't mean that they were a bad person or that you were a bad person, or I'm cutting this off and cutting that off and cutting that. No. I'm not talking about cutting. I'm talking about detaching or untying. Let me say it again. I'm not talking about cutting. I'm talking about detaching or untying. When you untie instead of cutting, if there's no finality to it, you can untie. And if you need to at a later date, you can retie it, because you never know if that same person you had to untie from for the moment may re-enter your life at a different period with a different perspective and to give you another boost, and so you're able to retie. But if you detach with detestment, then there is malice and strife and anger and hurt feelings, and so it makes now reattaching impossible or extremely challenging or difficult. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So learn to detach without becoming detestable, without becoming malicious or angry or mean or nasty, but do recognize those intentional relationships and what the purpose they serve are in your life. What purpose are they serving in your life? I got to go on. Now, the next instruction I want to give you is to check your choices. Listen to what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen. Check your choices. Check your choices. The law of cause and effects means that we are constantly in a state of creating and destroying. One initiates and facilitates the other. By creating one thing, you are consequently destroying another thing as it relates to your world. In other words, you are creating a butterfly effect, or what is called the ripple effect. So you have to be intentional about your choices, because when you are choosing one thing, you are automatically, or by consequence, not choosing another. So you are creating and destroying. Are you understanding? You are creating and destroying at the same time. And your choices are not momentary or an event that is bound to the moment that you are in, but your choices and your decisions have a ripple effect that cross over time and space. The choices that you are making right now will determine what you are going to look like in 5 years, 10 years, 9 years, 20 years. The decisions that you make right now are going to determine what you are looking like in the next at the end of these 9 years, as you enter into another dramatic shift in 2030. In 2030 is going to be another huge dramatic shift that's going to take place. I'm going to get to that a little bit later. But I'm telling you, so you have got to now be careful to check your choices to make sure that you are not being led by emotions, that you're not being manipulated or controlled, that you are not being paralyzed by fear or procrastination, but that you are making strategic, intentional choices, not out of anger, but you are making choices that are deliberate so that they serve you not just today, but they are setting up your tomorrow. And I said this before in another message. Your 5-year-old, your future self, your 10-year from now self, your 20-year from now self is yelling and screaming at you to make strategic choices now, to begin to do now what will orchestrate and cause to manifest over these next 9 years. You got to eradicate this procrastinative mindset of putting things off, or this reactive, responsive mindset where you are led by an emotion triggered by an external. You got to make internal choices that are intuitive. Listen to your feelings, not your emotions. Listen to your feelings, your unctionings, your intuition, your instincts, and not your emotions. Let me say it again. Listen to your internal instincts and feelings, intuitiveness, and not your emotions, so that you can make the kind of choices that are going to set up your next 9 years, that will begin to manifest the things that you have been dreaming and you have been envisioning. My God, I'm trying, Lord have mercy. That you have been envisioning, and there are several of you that are watching me right now as we have come through this new moon, that your visions and dreams have been intensified, and that's going to continue for the next 2 weeks. Listen to me as I prophesy to you now. Your visions and dreams and imaginations are going to be more vivid and and more intense over the next 2 weeks as the planets began to align and shift, and the moon begins to apply pressure to the earth, causing the tides to rise and fall with greater frequency. It is the rising and falling of the tides within the waters of your spirit that will cause your visions and dreams to be more vivid and intense. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Receive this word of prophecy that I'm saying to you now. And so, with them being so intense, you need to listen intuitively to your feelings and not be reactive or responsive, but to strategically and intentionally act on your best behalf and in your best interest, so that you can begin to see things unfold and reveal and manifest in your life. If you want to play around, then go ahead and do something else. But I'm telling you, those who are looking to progress, those of you who are looking to evolve, this is not the time to lay around and play around. This is not the time to get involved in a bunch of silliness and foolishness. You don't have time to play. You don't even have time to be lazy. You can rest when you're dead. This ain't the time to rest. This is the time to work. This is the time to be strategic. This is the time to check your choices and be intentional about what you are going to do. Don't do something just because you have an emotional response to something, or you see this is a chance to capitalize on somebody else's misery. You got to go into it with the right motive and with the right mindset, with that innate generosity permeating and inundating, saturating every decision that you make. Let me say that part again, that every choice and decision that you make, it should be saturated, inundated, and permeated by that innate generosity that is love, charity. It should saturate every decision that you are going to make. Any decision that you make, listen to me, I speak prophetically to you now. Any decision and choices that you make out of malice, out of emotion, out of reaction, are going to crumble and fail, and they are going to set you back by months and years. They are going to set you backwards by months and years. You cannot afford to be malicious, angry, bitter, or reactive, responsive. You have got to allow the love, the innate generosity, that innate goodness that is within you, that is an attribute of the fruit of the Spirit, to saturate and inundate every one of your choices that you are going to start making beginning today, right this moment. Because this is about your momentum and your movement. Are you understanding what I'm saying to you? What time is it? It's already 11:20. I don't want to hold you too long, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end here, and I'm going to come back tonight at 7 p.m. I'm going to come back on tonight at 7 p.m. Meet me here tonight at 7 p.m., and I will complete the rest of this prophetic insight and instruction. I don't want to overfeed you, so take what I've given you already in this last hour and 21 minutes. And I want you to begin to digest it, process it, let it be distilled within your soul, and begin to start thinking about ways that you can implement it and practically apply it. And then I'll be back this evening at 7 p.m. At 7 p.m., go ahead and set your watch or set a reminder in your phone or in your iPad or whatever you need to do to make sure that you meet me back here at 7 p.m. I don't care if you are sitting at home, driving in your car, or in a different location, wherever you are, make sure you have technology available so you're able to tune in and watch me tonight. This is imperative. Y'all know I don't normally do this, but this is imperative. This is important for your next 9 years and the following 10 years that I haven't even gotten into yet. But I'm going to give you some insight about the next 9 years, and then also about the 10 years that will follow, as well as some other insight and instruction. So you want to be here tonight at 7 p.m. Those of you who want to give, return the tithe and give an offering to the Antioch Life Enrichment Center, then you can do that simply by going to our website. I'm going to put it on the screen now. That's our website, www.antiochchurchministries.com. Scroll down to the bottom and you're able to give your offering, return the tithe right there. And you can sow into this ministry. Those of you who are partners, you know that that is one of the responsibilities that you have to support the vision and work that we're doing here at the Antioch Life Enrichment Center. And so I'm expecting you to be faithful in your giving and in your returning of the tithe. If you want to sow a seed into the life of Pastor Prather, her cash app is $I live 1968, I live 1968. You can do that. You should sow into her life, especially those of us who are part of Antioch and have been so empowered and blessed by the information that she has poured out and continues to minister to our needs. If you want to sow a seed specifically into my life, I put on the screen how you can do so. You can just use your mobile banking app and look for the Zelle icon and use the email ijmiles38@gmail.com. ijmiles38@gmail.com. And you are able to sow your seed into my life. That I'm not telling you no hocus pocus. You sow this seed into my life, you're going to get a new house and a new car. No, you sow the seed out of the innate generosity and love that you have to empower the exchange of covenant, where I have given you spiritual things. Now you want to sow into my life those things that are carnal. It is a right principle for you to follow. And so you can use that application and do so this morning. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. Make sure you are here tonight at 7 p.m. Tell as many of your friends as you can. Encourage as many people as you can to be tuned in, because it's going to be even more intense and more informative. And I will see you then.